Welcome back to the deep dive discussion of dystopian novel Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. Today we discuss Chapter 7.
Chapter 7, right. And this is where Lenina and Bernard actually arrive at the Malpais Reservation.
And the change hits you immediately. I mean, it's not just a new place, it's like stepping into another dimension almost.
Absolutely. Huxley really leans into the sensory details to build that contrast, doesn't he?
He does. You get that description of the mesa, like a ship becalmed in a street of lion-colored dust. It sounds so, ancient.
Yeah, and the pueblo on top, like this primitive structure,
Oh.
dusty, stark, nothing like the world state they just left.
And Lenina's reaction is, well, instant. It's not curiosity, it's disgust, really.
Queer, she calls it, which for her is basically the worst thing something can be.
And she immediately fixates on the Indian guide. He smells, she says.
Right, the smell. Think about that. For someone from the world state, anything unsterilized, any natural human smell is offensive.
It just shows how completely cut off they are. And as they follow him, you get more senses involved. The drums.
Oh, the drums, yeah. Pulsing. The source says the air itself feels alive with it.
Pulsing with the indefatigable movement of blood. That's the quote, isn't it? Even their steps fall into the rhythm. It's primal.
Completely primal. Nothing like the controlled soundscapes back in London.
And then the climb. The steep path.
Which is actual physical effort, something Lenina finds, well, abhorrent.
Totally. I hate walking, she complains, wants the plane back. Feels so small on the ground. Imagine that feeling being totally new and scary.
And the climb itself has these jarring moments. The eagle swooping close.
Yeah, feeling the wind from its wings. And that pile of bones.
It's all just oppressively queer to her. And the guide still smells, apparently.
So they get to the top. Lenina tries, bless her, she tries to find something familiar, compares it to the Charrington Tower.
But that doesn't last long, does it? Because then the actual inhabitants appear.
And this is where Huxley really turns up the contrast. The two Indians, silent moccasins.
Vivid body paint, feather cloaks, and snakes. Live snakes.
One of the ropes writhed uneasily, it says, and they just walk past Lenina and Bernard. No acknowledgement.
Which, for someone conditioned for constant social interaction, must be really unsettling.
Oh, definitely. Lenina just keeps saying, I don't like it, I don't like it.
And then they enter the pueblo itself,
Yeah.
and the sheer reality of it hits her.
The dirt, rubbish everywhere, dust, dogs, flies. You see her grab her handkerchief?
Right to her nose. But how can they live like this, she asks. It's genuine bewilderment and indignation.
And she pulls out the conditioning. Cleanliness is next to forwardliness. It's like a moral failing to her.
Bernard tries to sound, worldly. Points out they've lived like this for ages.
Yeah, he even twists the Hypnopedia. Civilization is sterilization. But it kind of falls flat, doesn't it?
It does. Because then they see something truly shocking from a world state perspective.
The old man.
Yes. The visible reality of aging. Something they just don't see.
The source describes him so vividly. Tremulous caution climbing the ladder. The wrinkles, the toothless mouth bent over.
What's the matter with him? Lenina whispers. Pure horror. She literally cannot comprehend natural decay.
She tries to rationalize it. The director is old. They're not like that. She has no frame of reference for unmanaged aging.
Bernard, maybe a bit shaken himself, explains the world state way. Prevent disease. Keep the biochemistry young.
Transfusions, metabolism boosts, all that.
Until 60, you're basically young. Then crack. The end. No lingering decline.
But Lenina is just stuck on the sight of him. It's terrible, she says. Awful. We ought not to have come here.
And what's her immediate reaction?
Reach for the soma.
But she left it behind, so she's facing all this raw, unfiltered...
Which must be terrifying for her. And the shocks keep piling up. The women breastfeeding.
Oh, yeah. Lenina is utterly scandalized. Blushes, turns away, calls it indecent.
Think about that. Motherhood, breastfeeding, obscene concepts to her.
And Bernard trying to be, detached or intellectual about it.
Maybe trying to impress her or himself. He calls it a wonderfully intimate relationship.
Yeah, even speculates about the intensity of feeling a mother might have. Ask Lenina if she's missed out.
She shudders at the thought later, and it just gets worse for her. The woman with eye disease, the dead dog, lice. She's just begging to leave.
But the guide takes them to the Pueblo Square. It's crowded, colorful. Blankets, feathers, turquoise, heat.
Lenina puts her handkerchief back to her nose. Of course.
In the middle, there are these platforms, roofs of underground rooms, kivas, probably. And you hear fleet music, faintly.
But it's drowned out by the drums, that steady, remorseless persistence.
But here's a weird thing. Lenina actually finds the drums. Reassuring.
Yeah. It says she abandons herself to the soft, repeated thunder because it reminds her of the solidarity services.
The synthetic rituals back home. She even whispers, orgy borgy.
Trying to fit this alien experience into her conditioned boxes, a lower caste community sing.
But then the actual ritual starts.
Mm-hmm.
And it's intense. Masked dancers.
A strange limping dance, fierce singing, the drums speed up, a pulsing of fever.
The crowd noise swells, women shrieking, and then the snakes come out again. Black and brown snakes.
Flung to the dancers, who weave them into the dance.
Then they're thrown down, sprinkled with cornmeal. Silence falls, and these images rise up. An eagle and a figure on a cross.
Watching. And then the sacrifice begins. A young man, about 18.
Steps out, head bowed. An old man makes the sign of the cross over him. He starts walking around the snakes.
And a man in a coyote mask approaches with a whip.
The boy keeps walking. The whip falls. Loud, flat-sounding impact on the flesh.
He quivers, but no sound, just keeps walking.
And the whipping continues. Round after round. The crowd gasps and groans with each blow.
This is just too much for Lenina. She breaks down sobbing. Oh, stop them, stop them.
But it goes on. 7 circuits. The boy is streaming blood, finally collapses.
The ritual ends quickly then. The old man with the feather, touching the blood, showing it, shaking it over the snakes. Drums explode again. Everyone rushes off.
Leaving the square empty, except for the collapsed boy who gets carried off.
Yeah.
And the images sink back down.
Lenina's just wrecked. Too awful, that blood. Bernard tries to comfort her, but...
Useless. She just wants her soma. Needs that escape.
And right then, in that moment of total shock, they hear someone else.
Movement from inside. And a young man steps out.
Dressed like an Indian, but straw-colored hair, blue eyes, white skin. Completely different.
He speaks English. Hello. Good morrow. Faultless, but peculiar.
He recognizes them immediately. You're civilized, aren't you? You come from the other place.
This is John. A most unhappy gentleman, he calls himself.
And then he points to the bloodstains from the sacrifice. Do you see that damn spot? Shakespeare, right?
And Lenina, bless her conditioning, just blurts out, a gram is better than a dam.
Oh, Lenina. But John's reaction to the sacrifice, he wanted it to be him.
Yeah, he wished he could have done it. Got round 15 times, twice as much blood. More Shakespeare. The multitudinous sees incarnadine.
His reasons are complex, aren't they? For the Pueblo, rain, corn.
But also to please Pukong and Jesus.
Yeah.
So, a mix of beliefs.
And crucially, to show that I can bear pain without crying out. To show that I'm a man. He wants acceptance.
But he feels rejected. They dislike me for my complexion. It's always been like that. He's clearly emotional about it.
You can see the conflict right there. And Lenina, for a second, she's just astonished, actually looks at him.
And he sees her, really sees her. And he's just overcome, blushing, totally flustered.
Bernard jumps in then, ever the opportunist maybe, starts firing questions. Who? How?
John explains, keeping his eyes on Bernard because looking at Lenina is too much. Talks about Linda.
Linda was his mother. And that word mother visibly disturbs Lenina.
Huge shock. Mother and son living here, outside the system.
Linda came from the world state years ago with his father, Tomakin.
Tomakin. That name rings a bell for Bernard, doesn't it? The director's first name is Thomas.
Right. So Linda got lost, hit her head, Hunters found her, Tomakin left. John sees that as unkind, unnatural.
So John was born here in Malpais. He describes the house, squalor, dust, smell. Even he sounds repulsed, echoing world state sensibilities.
He calls for Linda and she comes out, and Lenina's internal description is just brutal.
Yeah, completely focused on the physical decay through a world state lens.
Right.
Stout blonde squaw, missing teeth, fat, wrinkled, blotchy. She finds Linda much worse than the old man.
But Linda's reaction is the opposite. She rushes at Lenina, crying, thrilled to see a civilized face, touching her clothes.
Linda is completely trapped in her world state past. Still has her old clothes. Complains about not having soma, only mezcal, which made her sick.
And she talks about having John, the horror of it, for a beta. Put yourself in my place, she says to Lenina.
Lenina shudders. Linda insists it wasn't her fault. She did her Malthusian drill, but there was no abortion center.
She gets nostalgic about the abortion center lights, the lost comforts flying, hot baths.
Still totally repulsed by the dirt here.
Yeah.
Wipes her nose on her tunic, apologizes for Lenina's disgust.
And the conditioning just pours out. Civilization is sterilization, I used to say to them.
And the stuff about possessions. Wool lasts too long, mending is bad. The more stitches, the less riches, mending's antisocial. still believes it all.
She feels like she's living with lunatics because their ways are mad, especially their relationships.
Yeah, she whispers to Lenina about how they only have one person. Absolutely mad. She needs confirmation. Everybody belongs to everyone else, don't they?
Lenina just nods, probably holding her breath, horrified by the idea of not belonging to everyone.
Linda complains the local women attacked her because their men visited her. Her world state behavior made her an outcast.
Calls them hateful, mad and cruel, and disgusted they have babies naturally, like dogs, not knowing about decanting.
She says John was a comfort, but admits she couldn't make him understand why seeing different men was normal, civilized.
Thinks he caught being mad from the Indians because he'd get upset when men visited her. Tried to hurt one once.
She mentions the Indians were beastly to him because he looked different, excluded him. Ironically, she saw that as a chance to condition him a little.
But she struggled. Didn't know the answers herself, being just a beta. Could only pass on her limited programming.
So Chapter 7 really throws these two worlds into stark contrast, doesn't it? And you see the human cost for those caught in between. Linda, trapped by her conditioning. John, belonging nowhere.
Okay, so summarizing the core experience of Chapter 7, it's really about that overwhelming sensory and cultural shock for Lenina and Bernard on the reservation. It starts breaking down their world state view.
Definitely. We saw those key contrasts. The dirt, disease, aging things unseen in their world. Natural birth, motherhood seen as obscene, and those intense traditional rituals.
The dance, the snakes, the sacrifice, all compared to the sterile comforts they lack. Soma, total cleanliness tech.
And the huge revelation, finding John and Linda.
The direct.
Living bridge between the world state and this quote-unquote savage world.
Linda's perspective is just heartbreaking, really. She's clinging desperately to those world state slogans. Civilization is sterilization. Mending's antisocial, while living a life that completely horrifies her by those standards.
She's like a ghost of the world state. And John, well, we're just starting to see his perspective. Pull between worlds, wanting acceptance through the reservation's pain rituals.
While suffering rejection because he looks like he belongs to the other world, it's a deep conflict.
So, maybe a final thought to leave you with, based just on this chapter. Think about how suffering works in each place. In the world state, it's avoided, managed, drugged away with soma. On the reservation, it's physical, emotional, part of community ritual.
What does that contrast suggest about freedom? About pain itself, does it have meaning? And what does it mean to have an identity when one world tries to eliminate suffering and the other seems to integrate it?
Something to ponder.
Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to see you when we discuss the next chapter.